Welcome to the Simply Abundant Summit. I'm your host, Allyson Chavez. If you're just tuning in, we are talking to experts in the field of abundance. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I'm getting in my own way, or I'm just really overcomplicating the path to abundance and whatever that looks like in your life. And so what I decided to do is I've sought out experts in all different fields, but just to kind of have their thumb on the pulse of abundance and how simple it really is to live an abundant life. And we are in for a real treat today because online we have Marnie Pehrson, who is the CEO and founder of IgnitePoint.com. And what that does is she is a platform builder and a coach for professional women who have transformational messages to share. So she helps you monetize your current content and then create a solid social media presence. She uses really creative and collaborative means to help you build a loyal online following. And you can find her at IgnitePoint.com. So Marnie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
We love having you online today. So let's just jump right into the meat of this. And let me start off with asking, have you always experienced abundance in your life?
No.
Oh, you're a human. Hooray.
Yes, I am human. I'm very human. No, I grew up having most anything that I ever needed. I don't remember having to do without as a child or anything, but went through some years where my husband was unemployed and struggled. That's when I started my business, actually. And so we were struggling at that point. It was about 20-something years ago. And built my business up because of that, kind of necessity's the mother of invention. Ran my business for about a decade and then hit another financial snag. Something happened that, kind of pulled the rug out from under us back in around 2000, I guess. And that's when I met Leslie Householder, if anybody knows Leslie Householder.
Yes, I am familiar with her. Love her work.
Yeah. And so she kind of took me under her wing and mentored me. And it was before she was online or anything. So we kind of it was a little bit of a symbiotic relationship. I helped her get online and get her stuff going, and she helped me through that and taught me the laws of abundance. And so I kind of, I think I was very privileged to get to learn at the feet of the master there with Leslie right at the beginning when she was first getting off the ground. So,
wow, that is fantastic. So, was that what you attribute your, just kind of jumping into abundance is what you learned from Leslie?
Oh yeah, because it immediately, right after she started teaching me, my revenues, which were just pretty much steady, always the same, they doubled, and then they doubled again, and they doubled until I was like 10 times what I was making in the beginning.
So how long did that take?
That happened over the course of, say, about 8 or 9 years for all of that to get to the point where it's 10 times,
Mm-hmm.
But, it didn't take very long though for it to really start doubling. So money wasn't an issue really anymore, maybe 3 or 4 years, something like that.
Wow.
So.
Wow, very cool. Is there anything like in particular that you realized, hey, I've got this principle down and that's what's doing it? Or was it just, was it kind of a gradual thing, or did you suddenly just kind of pick it up and run?
It's hard to pinpoint it because I think I had a lot of stinking thinking in the beginning, and so gratitude was really big, I think, and trusting that it was going to come. Like one thing Leslie taught me is like the minute you think it, the minute you set that intention, it's spiritually created in the room with you. And so it helped me to start thinking of it like, okay, I just made an order on Amazon and it's mine. It's just a matter of time for it to be delivered. So shifting that thinking and going to gratitude instead of continuing like, when is it going to get here? When's it going to get here? Just trusting the timing and being grateful. I think that was probably what made the biggest shift later on, because in the beginning I saw shifts immediately, but there was another level of shifting that happened as I got more into gratitude and trusting.
So you had 2 different layers of shifting.
At least.
Is what happened. Did you feel, because I would imagine that you had a little bit of 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of an experience with that. How did you get to the point where you were just always taking 2 steps forward and not sliding back?
It's sort of like, I don't know if have you ever read the book, The Slight Edge? I think it's Jeff Olson. I think that's his name. But he talks about how a water hyacinth grows. You know, when it's first in the water, it's a real pretty little flower, lily pad kind of thing. When it's first in there, you can't hardly see it at all. And then, you know, like 10 days, it might take up a little bit of spot. By 15 days, it's the size of maybe a mattress. By day 29, it's taken up half the pond. And then by day 30, it's covered the whole pond all at once. It's just, you know,
Wow.
and so it looks like an overnight growth thing, but it's these small little steps that add up. And then at some point you get to this point where you don't have to tell yourself to be grateful. You don't have to tell yourself to trust. You just know it. And then everything just starts to flow at that point. But it's when you stop having to work at thinking right and work at being grateful, when it's just second nature. And I don't know how to tell somebody to get there. It's just...
You just kind of do. I guess this is kind of your personal journey for each person. You know, it's not going to say, oh, well, in 30 days, everybody's going to shift. Because, you know, for some people, I guess it would be sooner and others might take a little bit longer. So,
right.
But that's really cool that you notice that as soon as you're like, oh, I'm not working, I just not working to keep my mind right. It's just a second nature. And then boom, everything happened, which is really cool. Which is very cool. So what do you see in your business with your clients that's the most common thing that holds them back from having the abundance that they want? Whether it's in their business or their life or whatever. Do you notice something?
Yeah, it's fear.
Oh, really?
It's fear. Yeah. They're afraid of if they do succeed. You know, there's a whole other world when you do succeed. You know, when things are going well. Now, are people going to think I'm the diva? Are they going to think I'm full of myself? Am I going to get proud? And then pride goes before a fall. Or, I mean, all these different things we stay in the known because it's the devil we know. So there's some really good thing out there. There's all this fear wrapped up in it. And I think it all really boils down to the fear of jumping into the unknown.
Yes. That resonates with me, actually, because it's like, what's going to wait? What's on the other side of that jump? You know, is it a 100-foot cliff that I've just plummeted off of, or am I going up higher? And that's, so how do you get them then to bridge that gap, to be able to take that leap? What does that take?
One of the things that I have my clients do is, and I do this even in, you know, say writing a book or something. There's all these fears that come up on writing a book. We'll identify the fears that you have, you know, shed the light of day on them. You know, are they really true? Is it really true that nobody ever makes it out of this situation? You find one person who can, and okay, that's not true anymore, right? So, identify the fears. And then flip them around. And the truth is usually the opposite of whatever that fear is. And so just crafting affirmations, if nothing else, to turn those things around. So like if you have a fear of nobody wants to listen to what I have to say, you know, then people do want to listen to what you have to say. You have something valuable to share. So you would start telling yourself that. It's almost like training your brain to recognize when it's telling you these negative things and then consciously flip them around. Or if nothing else, just start thinking about something else, you know, that's not negative would be a step in the right direction. So.
Absolutely. I remember even just a little while ago, all of this anxiety was just welling up inside of me and all of these thoughts like, who do you think you are? Why do you think that you're stepping into these big britches and you think that you can fill these big britches? And, you know, just all of those really self-limiting thoughts. And I was in the car and I remember talking out loud to myself. And I said, whatever you say and however you feel, I don't care. I'm still doing this. I'm still going forward, even though I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know how it's going to turn out. It doesn't matter. So you can either get on board or get out of my way. And I told that to myself, which, you know, might sound a little bit weird, but I was just very forceful. And suddenly those fears just kind of quieted and they were like, oh, okay. I guess we'll just do what she tells us to do. And I'm like, you're not helping. If you're not going to help, then just be quiet. So I understand recently you blew up your own company. Do you want to talk about that? for a minute? I would imagine there's a little bit of fear there. Did you feel any fear?
Yeah, there's a lot of fear associated with that. I've blown up a lot of stuff lately. So.
Do you mind if we go in that direction for a minute? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Tell us what happened.
Well, I had Ideal Marketers, which has been around for 14 years. My bread and butter, money coming in easily, don't have to think about it. Just, I can go off and light the world and do what I want to do because this money's coming in over here. And just that there were changes in the way that Google handled content directories and things that made it where that wasn't a viable way for people to promote anymore. And I didn't really feel right encouraging people to put content in there that might cause them problems with Google or whatever. So I shut it down and went in a different direction, but I didn't really know where I was going, to be honest with you. I just knew I wanted to help these light bearers that I've kind of been puttering around helping on the side as my my side passion, and really focus on what I really wanted to do. And so anyway, it's been sort of fumbling and finding my way a little bit. And, of course, anytime you blow something up, you don't have the level of abundance you had before, so it was more of a choice to go. The really cool thing about it, though, is I've learned that all of the things I built over time were built almost like, have you ever seen the Winchester House in California? Where this lady was afraid if she ever stopped building, she would die. And so there's like stairwells going nowhere, and there's just these weird rooms off somewhere, and it's just this crazy house. And I realized I had built my life that way, my relationships, my business, everything. If I stop building, I'll die. So I was just like tacking things on and creating things, which did work. But now it's all been leveled. It's like the forest after the forest fire. It's just clean slate. And now I'm proactively choosing what relationships do I want, what business activities do I want, and I'm putting things into place on purpose. And I know where I'm going is going to be way better than where I was, but I'm still in that process of, okay, what am I putting onto the thing? So,
wow.
I just want to hear.
Well, yeah. So that brings up two questions. The first one is, what's the difference? I would imagine there's a different feeling that's associated with that, just feeling more proactive versus I've got to create just for the sake of creating, because if I stop, it will all fall apart. So how does that feel? Are you experiencing abundance in different areas now, choosing that, or what does that look like?
Yeah. The things that I need are brought to me. They're just maybe not brought to me because I went and paid somebody to do it. They'll come from other ways, relationships, got a lot of really good relationships that are supportive, helping me. And, I'm back to that point of having to relearn trust and faith, and also that slight edge that I talked to you about before. It's those small little things that you do every day that build the abundance. And so just trusting that process of knowing, okay, I built it up before this way. I know I can do it again. Just those small, simple steps. And then one day it just mushrooms. And it's doing really well. But it's just remembering that, that process that we all go through. Abundance rarely comes overnight. It comes by degrees, I think. Mm-hmm. And so you got to just trust the process and do, even though you don't think, it's sort of like working out. I started working out a couple of years ago because I got overweight and sitting at the desk all the time. But you don't see after a week of working out that you're suddenly all buff or something. You just keep doing it, and then suddenly you look and go, hey, I lost that cottage cheese stuff on my arm. That's kind of how I think abundance comes. Just the progressive realization of a worthy goal. Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's like kind of all of a sudden but you're like, oh no, this is gradual because I've done what needs to happen, but it's a little sneaky.
Yeah.
I think just a tad. So,
yeah.
And all of a sudden, oh, very cool.
Yeah.
What is a light bearer? You mentioned working with light bearers. What are light bearers?
Light bearers are people who have a liberating message, method, or system to help other people who are in some kind of limiting situation find greater levels of freedom in their lives, whether it's emotional, financial,
cool,
just anything like that. So there are people that are making a proactive difference in the world.
And those are the people that you're choosing that you want to work with, not just anybody who says, help me with whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I started to, over the years, I started to work with people that I just felt this, you need to help that person kind of feeling. I don't know how to explain it. I would just get this feeling. That's one of them. And I did it without knowing why I was doing it. And then suddenly I had this epiphany that I needed to narrow down why I was drawn to certain people. And I started looking at the commonalities in them all, and they all help people reach a higher level of freedom. And so now I can easily identify, and they can self-identify. If I give them the definition, they know, oh, I'm one of those,
Yes. In fact, when you were saying that, I was like, hey, that kind of sounds like me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to share this message with so many people to know, gosh, let's just get out of our way and talk to the people who have gotten out of their way and what they did to get out of their way. So that is fantastic. So you mentioned a little bit ago about just like daily affirmations and doing affirmations. Do you remember, or maybe you're incorporating that now since you're kind of starting over in a way, you've started, this whole new level of your business. So what exercises or steps or like methods or techniques have you used that have helped you to stay in trust and stay in faith and stay on purpose and all of that? Is there anything specifically that you do, or is it just so second nature now that you don't even put a name to it?
It's not second nature. I'm like having to I'm tested on the thing that I thought I knew already. So it takes a little bit of work sometimes. I think one of the biggest things that I do is a meditation where it's not like where you clear your mind completely kind of meditation, but it's more like I have a conversation with God in my mind, really, is what it is, and get to that place where I feel like He's sort of coaching me and answering, and I could take these business issues or personal issues or whatever they are and have this conversation. And that gives me a level of peace and trust and clarity. And it kind of puts me above the mundane, like you got all your problems down here, and it takes me up to an aerial view where I kind of see it through His eyes. And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand where we're going. And that aerial view of knowing where I'm going in the end is making all this little stuff be like, okay, I don't need to worry about that because He's going to fix this. And, it's all going to work out in the end. I've seen the end of the story. It's all good, So for me, that's the only thing that's getting me through it, to be honest with you.
When you started, 10 years ago with your first company, were you able to see the end? Or was that just, oh, this is what I hope the end is going to be like, so I'll take this path in hopes? Or did you, because you seem to have just this really peaceful, calm knowing. Like, hey, everything it's cool. He's going to take care of things over here, and I'll work on things over here, and we'll just kind of let everything flow. Because now you have that aerial view. But did you in the beginning have that aerial view?
No, I remember, I started Ideal Marketers in 98, and I just sort of I'd go and I'd pray about, okay, what should I do next? I'd get the next step. And then I just do whatever I'm told to do, like a robot kind of thing. And I remember thinking in about 2007, 2008, when Ideal Marketers, the expert program, and everything started going really well, I was like, oh, this is where we were going. This is cool. And I'm sure I still don't see the complete big picture even now, but it's like I have seen a bigger picture than I had ever had before. So I'm just sort of trusting that.
How do you get to that aerial view? How long does it take? Do you do like 15 minutes every day? Is it an actual just spending that time in prayer, or is it just what does that process look like for you? Or do you mind sharing that with us?
Oh, no, I don't mind. I have sort of a little ritual in my mind of what I go through. Okay. So it could be anything. It could be that you walk down a flight of stairs, and then you walk through a door, and God is waiting on the other side to talk to you, or, it could be I have my own little thing. Okay. And then once I'm on that other side, I'll ask very specifically what it is I need help with. Okay. And sometimes you're just so you're so upset or whatever you're dealing with that you don't know what to ask for. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you might say, I just need some peace, so you could ask for that. But the more specific you can ask for, the more likely you're going to get an answer. And then you just kind of have to shut up all those little millions of little tedious questions you want. But what about this? What about that? It's like, okay, I'm just going to, and just let it, I don't know, just let your imagination go, I guess. It's tapping in your imagination. Sometimes I can get that place really fast, and sometimes I'm so wound up, I might have to try for a couple hours or something to find that place. So I don't necessarily do it every day. I might for a little bit in the mornings when I say my prayer, but it's mainly like Sunday afternoons. I can like take a nap and then I'll just talk with God for an hour or two or something, okay? Or any day that I don't. Like yesterday was a holiday. I spent the morning just getting a really good big picture, So just when I have the time to spend maybe an hour and really have a nice deep conversation. And I'll usually keep a piece of paper and a pen handy because I'll get some really good stuff, and you want to write that down while you're getting it, but still kind of stay in the you just want to stay in that calm place. I also use music. I have almost like a soundtrack that I use of really calm, soothing music, and I put that on my earbuds and just kind of get yourself in a relaxed place.
Okay. So this isn't something like, I mean, and I'm sure you can do this like when you're driving in the car, but you kind of want it to be in one of the calmer moments of life, not in the midst of, making dinner, helping with homework and, running people everywhere. It needs to be and I'm glad that, is it okay for me to say that I'm glad you don't do it every day? Because the thought of an hour or two every day, I'm like, oh, okay, when can I schedule that in?
No, but I just don't think it's feasible for most of us. I mean, it's not that that's the only time I pray or something.
Right.
And it's not a traditional prayer either. It's more like, okay, I want to have a conversation with you. And I ask, will you speak to me? Will you tell me what, that's what I ask for. But I do it with very clear intention and knowing I have enough time to relax enough and to get the clarity.
Very good. Very good. So do your clients do that as well? Do they find that helps them to get to their space of quiet and clarity? I
need to start teaching it to my clients. It's not like the World Book, but I need to poll them and see how many of them have tried it,
Yeah.
But yeah.
What have they shared with you that has helped them the most to get through that fear and to just do it?
For them, it's mainly just, I use a little bit of the Simply Healed work. You're a Simply Healed practitioner, aren't you?
I am.
So, yeah. So when I do that with them, I'll teach them how to turn those false beliefs around. And so that helps them to flip that around and just know that they can set that intention to get rid of those negative beliefs. And that really makes a big shift for them. Just that by itself has been really helpful for people.
Very cool.
Also realizing one of the things that one of my clients was telling me yesterday is that just to have someone tell them you're at a terror barrier. That's where you are. Leslie Householder talks about the terror barrier. You get up to where you're just about ready to break through to where you need to be. You're going to hit a wall of terror. And you can choose to go up and keep going on through, or you can chicken out and you can go back down, but you're going to have to repeat it. You will have to keep hitting that and going, turning around and coming back until you decide to have the courage to jump on through. So just acknowledging that you are at a terror barrier and go on anyway, that's the biggest help, I think, in getting through the fear is just do it anyway. I
would imagine that you've hit lots of terror barriers along your journey. How long does it take to get through the terror barrier?
Sometimes it's just a decision, to say, I choose to go through this. And then it doesn't seem, it's like the fear dissipates at that point. Other times it just depends on how much you relax into it and trust. It's really a matter of relaxing into the pain, so to speak, like giving birth, just go with it. It's part of the process. It's not the end. There's something good up ahead, and just keeping that perspective. So the sooner you can relax into it and trust, the sooner it will go away.
Wow. I love that. This isn't the end. I think a lot of people get to that terror and go, oh no, because if it's this scary now, what's it going to look like on the other side? Of this scary, it's never going to end. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah. It gets better. I promise it gets better.
What does the trust look like to you? What was that? Just like closing your eyes and just, I'm doing it and we'll see how it all turns out?
It's that's really hard to explain because I've told people, well, just trust, and then when I've hit my own terror barriers lately, over the last 8 months with this, I'm like, well, it was really easy for me to tell them to trust when everything was going really good for me. It's like, it's almost like you have to experience it, I don't know that I can tell you how to do it. I mean, it's easy for me to say trust, but one of the things you can do, one of my friends taught me, is just close your eyes and just breathe in really slow and exhale, and imagine every molecule of oxygen that's going in is the abundance that's all around you. I mean, you're just swimming in abundance. It's everything you need is everywhere around you. And just take some time to just imagine that light and every molecule of oxygen is giving you everything you need, and you trust it. It's a matter of quieting yourself down enough and letting go of all those scrambled thoughts and just realize we're swimming in abundance. I mean, we're just constantly provided for. We block it with our, the clutter in our thoughts or the clutter in our surroundings. We're blocking the abundance, from being able to flow. Or when we do have abundance, we have money leaks. We have power leaks and that's the biggest thing that I learned. I was making really good money, but I had leaks where I wasn't being proactively conscious about what I was doing with the money. And a lot of times we think, well, because there's abundance, I don't need to think about that. I need to just trust and let my money go willy-nilly. That's not what it's about. You do that and you won't, you're not appropriating it wisely. Your money's controlling you and you're not controlling the money. So, the proactive choice of what you do with the abundance, you're the manager of that abundance that's being sent to you. Where are you going to allocate it? Are you going to allocate it to your good health, to better relationships, to, savings or whatever you need over here? I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does. That just totally popped to me. A money leak and a power leak. That's really interesting to me. You said you experienced some power leaks. What was that like? What kind of, tell me what that looked like as a power leak.
Well, for me, it was in relationships, in a significant relationship I have in my life. And so, I was just turning over my own personal power to somebody else in some aspects, It's sort of like my sister says that I was out here stirring up, changing the world, but in my own home, I wouldn't stir a teacup. I was just giving away all of my power, either to just do whatever my kids wanted. They want something, I'll just go buy it, or, other choices that were being made around me. And I just went along and wasn't a wise steward of what was coming in. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think a lot of us don't realize that we have power leaks in our lives, and they look like different things, just for the sake of keeping the peace kind of a thing.
Right.
I think we give our power
away. For the sake of keeping the peace. I don't want anybody to pout. I don't want to get anybody upset. I want them to all feel good, A lot of times when you have some children that you raised when you didn't have a lot of money, and then you do have money, then you want to give them everything. You don't want them to ever need for anything, and then they don't learn to take responsibility. And I mean, there's just boundaries, you need good solid boundaries of what you're going to do with the abundance that comes to you. And for me, it's been, while it's a difficult lesson to learn, the lesson I've learned the most of wiping it all clean is that now I can set boundaries. I can decide where I want to put things and do it on purpose instead of it just somebody comes along and says, I need $1,000 for this. Okay, here you go. I need $1,000. Because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I want you to have whatever you want. It's like you gotta be a wise steward of what's coming.
Very good. Very good. Really fast. What does a money leak look like?
It could look like things that are being auto-billed to your credit card that you just aren't paying attention to because you figure, well, I got the money and it doesn't matter. So you got something you're not using at all and it's just auto-billing over here. Okay. Or maybe a family member has access to an account and they're just spending it without restraint, and not checking on things or.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. I've tried to make the distinction. A lot of times people will say, let's talk about financial abundance for just a second, that people have a set point for how comfortable they are with how much money they make. And then when more money starts coming in, they go, oh no, I'm not comfortable with this. I need to spend it and get back down to where I was. And yet I have really specific ideas about what I want to do with financial abundance. Like I want to renovate my whole house and I'd really like to pay cash for a new to me car. And then I think, is that a money leak? Is that me just trying to get rid of money once it comes in because I'm not comfortable with it? Or is that, wise stewardship and good allocation for money?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for distinguishing what a money leak actually is. And I'm going to go see if I've got some of those and I can plug up some of those holes. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I understand that you have a free offer for us today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do. If you want to create like a wow in your business, you want to be recognized, create some buzz about it. I have 5 steps that you can go through to really step into this bigger place, a bigger game with what you're doing. And so I call it the 5 secrets to creating your wow. So I'll be giving you that. It's a video series on that goes in each one.
Great. Thank you. And the link is actually right here on the email that has gone out to everybody with our video on it. So you can just click right on that link and get right into the 5 steps for creating your wow, which is fantastic. So thank you so much, Marnie. That is great. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with? Any final tidbits that popped into your mind before we sign off?
Yeah, I think really abundance is about creation. It's about your ability to create the world that you want to have. You have the ability to do that, and if you look at it more that way, then you have not only abundance in money, but every aspect of your life. You have the ability to create the ideal marriage, the ideal family life, or whatever. When you take control, you realize that it's not a control freak kind of control, but
right.
If you realize, set clear intentions about what you do want. It's totally fine that you want to go get the new to you car because you're setting a clear intention about what you want. It's when we're not setting clear intentions and things just start leaking out, or we're misappropriating, or just letting life come at us without any kind of set plan, that things get chaotic. So.
Great. Oh, thank you. What great words of wisdom. Oh, this was fantastic, Marnie. Thank you so much for joining us and for imparting with us your words of wisdom. And it's so refreshing. I just have to say for me, and I would assume that many other people are feeling like, wow, it's really refreshing to know that there's kind of like this growth and pulling back and growth and pulling back, and that even people that are in abundance and who know how to live a simply abundant life still have things that grow them and challenge them. But you've got the techniques in place to know that, hey, everything's going to be just fine. Everything's good. I know what to do. So thank you. I hate to say we're glad that you went through this challenge, but but it certainly helped me. So thank you. You inspired me to blow up a business I wasn't happy with. So I was like, hey, if she can do it and be calm and confident, well, let's see if I can do it too. So I personally thank you for that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. I want you to remind you to set your alarms for 6 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow when the other interviews with our experts will be released. And I really encourage you to make you a priority and carve out a little bit of time for you. Our experts have such great words of wisdom, and they're common sense kinds of words of wisdom. So things that you can apply directly into your life the minute that you hear them. And it will completely empower you and just put you in a different state of where you're at. So make you a priority. Spend a few minutes each day. I really believe that that's the first step of living in abundance. So this is Allyson Chavez signing off and wishing you a simply abundant day. Bye-bye.